So guys, it's so funny. I was out earlier and I had this gentleman. I was out with Brian. Had this gentleman that said to me, "Can you hear that choir of birds or whatever?" And I've just noticed that birds are so much more intense right now. Like you can really, really hear them. Like I can hear them in the trees out here. We have two like huge pines right out here. And sometimes you can like hear the birds intensely and the doves will come along or whatever the pigeons and stuff. But anyway, um we have, I guess, like way back in the 60s in Pasadena, somebody went like down to a tropical region and brought home um, lorikeets. And I guess they had them in a cage and they had mated or whatever, but the lorikeets got out. They got out and they ended up multiplying. So, like, when you go over to Pasadena, I'm always like, hey, you can hear the Pasadena parrots today, right? So you could hear them, you could hear them. And then when I'm here in Downey, I'm like, oh, the Downey doves. So, like, when you go over to the local park here, you'll hear them in the trees. And they're really loud. They're a tropical bird. So, in the tropics, they like, really call to one another. They're loud and they're wanting to really send out their call loud and a long distance. So, anyway, so this morning, so everyone kind of notices it. But these were a different set of birds that was chirping, and the man said, "Hey, can you hear them?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "They're singing to us like a choir." Anyway, so it's so funny when I was in Long Beach. I'm like, okay, well, I guess these are the Long Beach lorikeets. But I just tend to do that whatever region I'm in. I give them their own little pet name, but they have a distinct sound. You cannot mistake it, and it's really really funny. Um, so I wanted to come on here and share that little bit. I've been in the last week. I went to San Luis Obispo on a girls' trip. And then I came home and I helped my daughter move. She was moving into a place. And I literally, like the following day, so I was going up and downstairs because the place she was moving to had stairs. And part of it is like a spiral stairway. And you guys can imagine how that is. You're moving boxes and you know, we had help, but, like just, getting like a mattress around, and it was like a spiral staircase. So getting the mattress around the corner and things like that. And thank goodness she was moving to a one level place, which is cool. Sorry, my hair is just like all over the place. I was laying down a little bit. But anyway, so, um, and so we were doing moving, and then this whatever came along. I'm telling you guys, it just hit me like a ton of bricks. You can tell that I still like sound heavy in my voice. And so anyway, this it's had two advantages. I've been resting, so to speak. I haven't, for a few days, I couldn't basically lift my head off the pillow. So I'm like, I can't even do any videos. I'm just toast, and sometimes you're just, placed on hold temporarily. um, and, but now I'm beginning, you know, taking the little steps. Actually, the first day I actually went out after, because she moved Monday, and I didn't even go out in the sunshine. I went and said, I just need to get out. I'm so housebound. I need to get out. So I went and had brunch and, little bit of brunch and had got a book. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. This book that I'm starting to read. It's called Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. So I'm starting to read that. But anyway, so yeah, so that explains part of my absence. And prior to that, when I went to Vegas for my Live Good event, I came back that Monday to news. I got a call that Monday morning that my cousin had passed away. He was at his home, and the neighbor actually called. The neighbor noticed that his bathroom light had not shut off for like 3 days. And you know how you can look, at a neighbor and see what their habits are. And, I know for me, like my dad was a utility man. So when we left a room, we turned off the light. Like you conserved. You didn't leave all the lights on. And that was the days before. Ooh, pardon me. That was the days before timers and stuff like that, right? So, and unfortunately, he called. So I'm on this high from the trip. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. So that came to a halt. Had to deal with that. Had to, the shock of it is just everything involved with that, guys. And that's probably why I'm sick right now. It's just, it all has been boom, 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 caught up. And I had the girls' trip planned, long before this had happened. And so I went back and forth because, his, we have his house and it's empty and trying to figure out getting stuff sold. But before you do that, it's like dealing with, everything that he had. And it was a family home. It was a home that my aunt had purchased in the early 40s. And so he ended up residing there, as an adult after, because she's been gone since 2013. So he basically moved in there. He sold his Northern California home to a friend and ended up, moving down here. And, I'm sure, you decide sometimes. It's like, are you going to keep a home, a family home in the family? Or are you going to, what are you going to do? So anyway, that's some of what has been going on my end of things. And so I've been absent from my videos, you know, not having my physical voice was gone, totally shot, couldn't do any kind of video at all. So, I'm glad to be on here. I'm thankful to be on here. And though I'm not 100%, I just wanted to say it is so important. A lot of you have a long weekend. A lot of you have, you're going to go back Tuesday, excuse me, to something. Maybe you're going back to something that you regret or something that, pardon me, I may not be able to get through this without coughing. But the point being, when you are knocked down and you aren't physically able to go to work, do you have something at work on your behalf if you physically need to take a rest time, like a serious rest period to deal with it. So, like, he's cousin Robert was part of our family. Excuse me. Um, he lived on a quarter of an acre. We've got his house. So there's still life to deal with, what was of his, having garage sales, deciding what you're going to do with the property, the fact that the property is empty. And fortunately, I've got two of my cousins that one lives like 5 miles away from there. The other one is basically about a 3-4 blocks away, just not too far. I mean, even it's kind of a longer walk, but if she needed to walk to my other cousin's house, she could. So, once you have a piece of property that's vacant, it's now okay. Can people come in and break in or squat or, that kind of thing? Like, you now have something else to be responsible for outside of what you already have. So, um, so yeah, so, all while, running a business, we all have to realize that life is going to unfold, you know, um, while we're running a business. And, so, so yeah, that I wanted to explain part of why I just have not been on. I like to do daily videos if I can, just getting out there and coming on. But honestly, what's happened in my personal life, and then my dad had a CT scan because he was treating for cancer. He's cancer free, thank God. The CT scan shows that there's no cancer, his blood work, but all in this process. And, I wanted to put this out as a word of encouragement. Don't ever give up. Life is always going to happen, it's going to unfold no matter what you do for a living. And that it is your very reason to stick with your dreams, to keep pursuing what you want to pursue. Because the if you were to let whatever comes at you, interfere with that, it always will, right? There's always going to be something that comes along that is going to potentially put you in pause mode. So that's the beauty of having a home business. It's working for myself, and I work for myself in a couple of different capacities, allows me to be available for my family. So that Monday when I came back, I wasn't reporting to a boss. I was having to go to the house and, deal with, the police were there because the neighbor had called in a welfare check, to say, hey, and they, went in the front window and they discovered him. And he was a wonderful neighbor. Dennis is his name. And he said, I just, I didn't want to have this be this phone call to you, Jennifer, but it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And we knew he lived by himself. We knew he had some health issues. We just had no idea when the phone call was going to happen, and we would all, come by or whatever as much as we could. We're all living, doing our lives. We have families. We have things that we attend. And, so, and he was living independently there. So it still, it still came as a shock. But it's a reinforcer. It's a reinforcer to why you want to do it, because there's nothing worse then when stuff comes up and then your boss gives you a hard time about it. In fact, when I used to sell uniforms, guys, you guys, when I used to sell uniforms for the post office, I sold to postal carriers and mail clerks and the mechanic, the guys that would work on the cars. So I sold the uniforms to the mechanics, your mail carrier that comes to your door, the window clerks, you know. So anyway, they're all uniformed. I had one stop that I had where the the mail carrier had her boss call her, and actually I need to stop. This particular mail carrier was out on her route. Her son called and said, I think Dad's dead. So when she left that morning, it's like her husband had not been feeling well, was on the couch. She had 3 sons at home, okay? And he's like, Mom, you need to come home. Like, I think Dad's dead. I think Dad's not breathing. And she freaked out. She's all, call 911, right? She says, call 911. She calls her boss and says, I can't finish your route. You know, I can't finish the route. And she was like, no, you have to. She's all, no. I just got a call from my son saying that my husband isn't breathing. I can't finish this route out. And her boss tried to tell her, you will finish your route out and then go home. She literally hung up on her boss. And she thankfully had had years and years and years and years with the post office. And as a result of that interaction, she gave notice to her work. That was her retirement notice. That's how her retirement notice went down. Her boss insisting on her finishing her route when in actuality her husband died that day. Her boss never apologized for that. How she treated her, how she insisted on what she should do. Okay? Sorry, I realize my makeup is leaking a little bit, but anyway, you know, bottom line is they will replace you. Are a number. I hate to say it, no matter who you work for, you could be the top attorney, you could be the top specialist physician, you could be the top administrative whatever director of your school district. The moment that you're unavailable and that work mode is in crunch time and you have a personal family crisis that takes place, they don't want any excuses, right? Your boss doesn't want any excuses. And I realize we're all human. We all have to pause sometimes, but guess what? You have to be sure. You have to be sure that you have something in your corner before your job would figure out a way, financially analyze your way. And a lot of these companies have financial analysts that they hire. And guess what? We're coming up on, you know, whatever. We're halfway through the year. We're just about halfway through the year. And these companies are looking at their numbers. They're looking at what 2024 looks like. And you could be coming in and you could be saying, you know what? I'm going to change this dynamic. I'm going to change it so that if I do get that phone call, if that emergency comes in, I'm not being challenged by my boss, even in a death situation. And this person fundamentally retired out. She retired out as a result of that phone call. She's like, I am not going to be treated like a nothing on top of the fact that my spouse just passed away and just everything that comes with that. Everything I've been through that. I'm a 22-year widow. My husband passed 22 years ago this year, and it is hell. When he died, my kids were little. They were 7 and 4. When he died, I was working in corporate America, and I was back to work less than probably 3 weeks after he passed. And part of it is I needed to return to a normal routine. I needed to keep going. I needed to get my son to kindergarten, or excuse me, my daughter to preschool and my son to school, those things, keep them going. And I needed to keep, myself going as well, because it's a devastation. But, I'm telling you guys, even with all your years of service and you think you're the top dog and the superhero and the this and the that, they will kick you to the curb like bad pasta or whatever you want to call it. They will kick you to the curb, you know, um, in a millisecond. And it is so important to know that and understand that. And to me, it is important with everything that I have experienced in my life and some of what I have been taught is like you never know what's going to come along, and you need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be able to step in for loved ones if you need, like my daughter, moving that particular day. I didn't ask for, I was able to say, okay, I'm taking this window of time and I'm making myself available for her, and not having to ask for permission is the true freedom. We all have to work hard, but we want to work smart. You want to be able to cover yourself. Don't wait for that employer to let you go. Don't wait for that employer to kick you to the curb, right? Make sure that you have given yourself the options. Make sure that you have given yourself the ability to, create an income outside of just the job dynamic, and it's all of that is just belief, right? Money doesn't know the difference. Brian and I always joke about this. Money doesn't know if it's being spent on hookers and blow or, you're helping a needy family. Money doesn't know the difference. You say, I just have to pay bills. That means you've assigned your money to bills. You've assigned it to bills. You need to assign it to abundance. Assign it to vacations. Assign it to family time. Assign it to whatever it is, Assign it to making a difference. Say, you know what? I'm going to earn so that I'm assigning to volunteering. I'm assigning to creating a nonprofit. I'm assigning, it's not going to be assigned to debt, right? I'm not going to decide to assign it to debt. So I hope this inspires you. And I look forward to doing the next video. Take care.